Welcome back to Trifecta Airsoft Podcast. I'm your host, E-Rock. This episode is sponsored by Skirmish, Airsoft Connected. It's also sponsored by Hefe's Airsoft Solutions, a company that puts the airsoft community first. Thank you everyone for being here. Let's get to the podcast. It's perfect.
Yeah, I was actually blown away.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done one of these before, so I'm actually quite excited.
Awesome, dude. Welcome. Well, one of the live stream we did last night with Hefe's Airsoft and Skirmish, and one of Hefe's friends, Brian, or I guess soon to be business partner. He we're trying to get a podcast going with Defro. So Defro Airsoft, he started a podcast quite a few months ago, and we've had a lot of the same guests on. He's had a lot of people on his that I've had on mine and stuff. So we're trying to do a collaboration, and Skirmish made a joke in there about the Trifecta podcast is like 10 times better than the Defro podcast. Just messing around. Yeah, and I was like, damn, bro, what the hell? And he goes, well, and Stuart said, like, what's all the shade for? And he's like, well, E-Rock popped my cherry for podcasts. So I've done that. I've had a lot of people on that this is their first podcast. So you are not alone, my friend.
Awesome.
Hell yeah, dude. So I heard about you from Akimbo.
Really? Yeah. See, that's the first I've heard.
Yeah, dude. He was telling me, so I just talked with him. In fact, I was just talking to him tonight, a couple hours ago. Him and Call Sign Pumbaa and a couple other guys were on there from Praetorians and HSA that we were all playing Division 2 together.
Oh, you guys still play that?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, me. Oh, I haven't played that game in it first launched.
Yeah, I told we were talking, and I said I gotta jump off. I got a podcast a little bit, and they were like, "Oh, who you having on?" I said, "Bro, the guy you told me about." I said the day after you and I talked, I messaged him, and so we're gonna jump on here tonight. He's like, "Hell yeah, cool."
Awesome.
Perfect, man. Well, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell a little bit of your background, like where you're from and kind of.
Sure. Easily. Hi, my name is James Valoria. I'm a medically retired U.S. Army veteran.
Hoorah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm here in Wisconsin, Franklin. Currently right now in my apartment. As you could tell, my co-host is in the background. She's just passed out and is sleeping there.
Yeah.
My wife's got a couple friends, so if you catch any banter with them, it's a fun day.
Oh, it's fine, dude. No worries. This is very casual.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the quick rundown of me. I mean, much about me is that I play airsoft for fun.
I think I was thinking that you were in somewhere close to Tennessee, I guess, because where I'm trying to think where Akimbo met you.
So I met him actually at Shot Zone, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the lovely owner there named Ethan. He's also a veteran as well. I met them all back in February. Well, not Akimbo, but I met him just recently. But I met Ethan and his field, I want to say back in February on my first big tournament, and that was with NSL. I played with
so you played at NSL tournament. Yeah, that's what Akimbo was talking about. Okay. Mm-hmm. What team are you on?
Actually, I don't play for a team at all anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to speak ill will of them. They were good. They were a really good team. I enjoyed it. Played well with them. Just I needed to explore more options, to be honest with you. I wanted to. It was kind of hard because like in the Midwest, there's not really that many airsoft places to go. I mean, you could
Yeah.
pop in paintball and find everywhere,
Yeah, no kid.
and
Well,
that's
it seems like it's been around. I don't know if it's been around longer or if it's just been more popular longer. Paintball.
hmm I know. Like, I think paintball started back in the 1980s. I want to say. It sounds so weird to say that now because I was born in
Doesn't it?
'87. Yeah, it's like you start saying this, and then people are like, "Huh,"
Right.
you know.
Bro,
But
I was born in 1970. So when I tell people that are on here, they're like, "What?" So how old are you? Like 100? I'm like, yeah, almost.
yeah, oh man, it's
Because
I
most of the guys I
catch.
talk with on here, or at least half of them, are in their early 20s.
Oh yeah, no,
So the 70s sound like what? What the fuck?
no, yeah, I feel like an old geezer because like so this past tournament was the 1v1s over down in Shot Zone, Indiana, and that's how I met Akimbo.
Gotcha.
Well, fun story is that me being so like I said, I'm medically retired from the army. I
Yeah.
got so I've got a bolt and screw in my right knee. I had two herniated discs in my lower spine. I had a dent in my skull up here. I mean, you
Bro,
name it.
did you
Yeah,
fall? Did you fall off of something? Were you a jumper?
I did airborne school, yes, but
Ah,
no, I did not get. And what I happened was I had probably I want to say about a good 20 meters, a little bit, yeah, about 25 meters away. Some well, long story short, some asshole came out with a V vest, said his little words, and I looked right at my team leader at the time, and I went and I go, "What do I do?" And I was like shell shocked, like
holy
this is like
shit.
this is the real deal, like this is actually where it's gonna happen. And I looked, and this guy comes out and goes, "Alakwa," and I'm like, "What do I do?" And he's like, "Shoot him!" And I'm like, I pulled my 9mm and I went and I just pulled 2 rounds to him to his chest, and he clinched up on the detonator, and shrapnel came through and it hit my left knee, or excuse me, not my left knee, my right knee, and I just went completely down. Just went
Holy
down.
shit, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that one.
Bro.
Um,
I mean, I didn't mean for you to tell your story. If you want, if you feel comfortable talking about it, that's
oh
cool.
yeah, it's
I
fine.
just,
I've
okay,
yeah.
good. Because I'm thinking like, a lot of guys, they fall off a truck. Man,
No,
okay.
I've got
That's up close and personal, dude. Like,
yeah. I don't know if you can
blew up
see
in your
that, but
face.
but it says It says U.S. Army retired.
Right.
So that's an old picture of me. That's like in 2000. When did I get this taken? Oh snap! It actually. Oh, never mind. Doesn't
So when
expire.
did you go in the army?
I got in the army in 2006. Actually,
Okay.
I joined right out of high school. Like
Yeah.
just maybe like I want to say like 3 months into college, and then joined right out. And then I was like, I'm done. I was done. I was done with college. I just didn't have any. I wasn't smart, as they say.
Now,
No
were you?
brains up there.
Did you want to go? Did you want to go to college, or were you kind of just like following the path of like your parents and everyone going, "Well, this is the next step."
So I was kind of following, yeah, just a little
Yeah.
bit, but I didn't do too much, and then I just joined the military after that, honestly.
What?
And
How'd that come up? You just you have influence like your buddies or your family or something? Okay.
yes, so my dad is a former Marine.
Hoorah!
Current,
I'm a
yeah.
jarhead.
Are you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Nope. So you'll. I hate. Sometimes when I tell people what I did in the military, people kind of drop their jaw. They look at me a little different. But so long story short, again, my brother's in the Navy.
Okay.
He followed our grandfather. My grandfather before us was also a Marine, but on my mom's side, my grandfather is the Navy. So
Yeah.
a lot of us are mostly military, brats and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I joined at 18, turned 19 in the field. That was oh god. Remember those days? That's you turn 19 in the field, and all your drill sergeant walks around and is like, "Hey, Hey, it's July 10th. Wake up, everybody, wake up. Why? It's Valoria's birthday. Okay, got it. Hey, we're just giving you that nice happy birthday. You got to get 2 seconds to run. What? 1, 2. He's right
shit.
here. Oh no! And I start running. I'm just booking it, and I just get tackled, and it's just nothing but a beat fest. And they don't go too hard on you, but it's it's a rite of passage. So there's
Some
that.
bruises.
But yeah, no, I joined the military in 2006. I got medically retired in 2014. 8 years active.
Yeah.
Fun. 3 tours. All of them were all back to back to back. And what I mean by that, I came basic training, went to basic training. Then after basic training, I went to sniper school. Then after sniper school, me and my spotter went together, and then we got stationed over in Fort Lewis, Washington. Came back after that, and we deployed immediately. And 15-month tour over in Iraq. And I was like, great, this is fun. Like, 3 months into my tour, I get that injury with the V-vest. And
holy shit, dude.
yeah, so I get helicoptered out. I'm gone. I'm gone. I get in Landstuhl, Germany. I wake up, and I mean, obviously, I've been awake the whole time, but then they're like, oh, hey, we gotta, we're going to take a look at your knee and all this other stuff. And, I'm sitting there, I'm like this. I'm just in my bed, just fine. And, the doctor comes in, and it's, this captain walks in. He's like, hey, you want the good news or the bad news? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, shit, something happened bad. I'm like, yeah, well, tell me the bad news first. And he looks at me and goes, well, bad news is, well, I didn't get to operate on you. I'm like, what? What do you mean you didn't get to operate on me? I'm like, he's like, yep. Yeah, you want the good news now? You get to keep your leg, bud. You get to keep it all. And I'm like, and that was it? He's like, yep. Just go through some rehab for a while and you'll be good. And then you'll most likely get sent back to the States. I'm like, all right, cool. Awesome. Do my healing, get my rehab in, and immediately I'm like, ooh, I got my new knee in. I got a brace on this thing. I'm like, woo, let's go. 5 seconds later, hey, yeah, they extended your tour, so your dumbass is going right back to the sandbox. I'm like, no.
What?
No, I'm not. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Show up there. I finish out the rest of my tour. In that process of finishing out my tour, we had this one funny one. You ever dealt with EOD at all?
No.
So we had this H bed. I'm talking like this thing was field to blow. I'm talking like ready to blow up. And, we're out with EOD. We're doing route clearance. I forgot, was it Tampa or Purple? I can't remember which one. But we're just doing, just mind our own business. And I'm looking around. I'm like, cool, what's up? And I'm like, something don't feel right. I get that little itch behind my neck. And I'm like, something's not good. Something's weird. So I'm like, hey, we got to hold up. So I look around, and there's this major. So we had this. I keep jumping around. Sorry. So we had a major jump in to the back of our striker, and he literally was like this, just kind of like overset weight major, and he's like running. He's like, hey guys, I'm gonna go on mission with you guys, and we're like, okay, sir. I don't know who said you could, but yeah, you can come with us. Come on in. We can't say no to a major.
Right.
And his major comes up to me, and he's like, hey. Why'd you stop? I'm like, cause something doesn't feel right now. He's like, what? We got Iraqis around here. What we got going? I'm like, sir, we're in Iraq. We have them all over the place here. Just, And he looks at me and he goes, well, I don't need to be a smart ass, but you need to listen to me. I'm like, I get that, but I don't feel comfortable moving forward with all these guys. Something tickling me. He's like, all right, then take your team and get into one of these, get into one of the houses and get some Overwatch for us. I'm like, yeah, you do know what we're doing, right? Like, we briefed you? He looks at me and he goes, yeah. Colonel Love said everything. I'm like, he told you everything. Good call. Hey, sir, no disrespect, but you can go literally fuck yourself. And he looks at me and goes, You're going to disrespect the major? I'm like, yeah, because it's route clearance. We stay on the route. We don't get out. We stay here. If anything feels weird, we call EOD. They come in. They blow it all up. And he looks at me and goes, I don't know what the fuck you're talking to, but you better tell me right now that you think there's something there. I'm like, I think there's something there. And the EOD comes out. And they send a little drone, and comes flying in there. And drone looks. EOD's like, eyes pop out of their heads.
Oh, God.
These guys are squirrels. I mean, I love them, but they're squirrels. They look in and they're like, dude, who found this thing? Who found this baby? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, we found the mother of H-meds right now. I'm like, yeah. Shit. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So he turns around. He looks at me and he's like, all right, we're going to go lay it down. 30 minutes go by. 40 minutes go by. They're putting it up. They set it up. And, he comes back and the guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, you want the detonator? You want to do the popping? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just sit back and watch. Boom! I'm talking a crater, just a huge crater right in front of us. And I'm like, neat. Jesus. All right, let's go. We get back, and Major gets off the striker, gets off the ramp, just walking, kicking rocks. I get back to my tent with my guys, and I'm sitting there. Out of nowhere, our LT comes in. He's like, hey, V, come on. You got to come with me. And I'm like, the fuck? What? Okay. Grab my rifle, grab it up, get into my PTs, and trot down to the CP. And I get there, and there's the major, there's the colonel, there's the sergeant major. Sergeant major walks up to me, puts his hand on my shoulder, and goes, I did everything I could. And I mean everything. God.
What?
And I'm like, what did I do? He's like,
that fucking major,
he goes,
really?
He goes, just take your lickings. That's all I'm going to tell you. Comes up to me. He's like, the major looks at me. And he goes, I told you I'll get you back. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean, sir? He's like, just turns his head, walks out of the office. I close the door. And I'm sitting there getting reamed by the colonel. Just straight. Jesus. So this guy worked in brigade. And what he did was he pulled some strings and got my ring and got me busted down for disobeying a direct order from a major.
Oh my God, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So
they should have gave you a field promotion, bro.
So I got one. Bomb. I did. I got a field promotion and a demotion all at once.
Oh my God.
So I got promoted to sergeant, and I got re-demoted all the same day. So it was kind of a fun day.
Why was that guy there?
He was some major back in. So he had never deployed. Never deployed. Never even Desert Storm. All this other stuff. He never deployed. He was just some random like major that just wrote out his career and then got, I'm getting deployed. Shit. And then thought that he would do a mission with us and get his CIB. So he's able to show off his his fun stuff. Oh my God. So yeah, that happened. So that was fun. And then I get back. We get this 30 days of leave. Free leave, and we do all this processing, and first formation shows up when we're all back. We're all freshly back. I'm promoted to E5. I'm back to being a sergeant, and I'm like, cool. First Heart looks around, goes, all right, guys, I got some more great news. If you didn't like our first tour, guess what? And I'm like, oh no, we're going on another one. No more. And he goes, well, we're going to be sending people off to Ranger School. And I'm like, huh? Excuse me? What'd you just say to me? They're like, yeah, we're sending people to Ranger School. Who's going to be first volunteers? Nobody? All right, cool. I'm going to start going through the people list. You and your fucking team are going. And I'm like, no.
This is after, now let me get this straight. This is after you got blown up.
I came back, so I got blown up in the very beginning of the beginning of my tour, like the first 3 months of my tour. Got blown up, did my rehab, got sent back since they had a 15-month, so it was 12 months originally, and then they got a 3-month extension. So I got sent back to go finish up my tour. Then we got flown back, and then in 2008, so it was 2006 to 8, 15 months, came back. Then they're like 8 to 9, 2009, 6 months with the Rangers. So I went to airborne school.
Damn.
So they're like, hey, we're going to airborne. You guys are going to go to airborne school first, and then you're going out. And I'm like, my wife's going to hate me. At the time I was married, and I'm like, my wife's going to hate me. She going to divorce me. I'm going to lose my mind. And We get deployed. We get there. I do Ranger school. I had a great time doing it. Went to airborne school. Saw my cadet break his, like, what is it? What is that for the shin bone? I saw that thing snap like a twig because he PLF'd right.
Fibia or something.
Yeah, he came down and he's floating. And you're supposed to, when you peel off to the left, to the right. You don't ever go forward because that's how, you have all your packs, you got everything else, and then whatever comes on you, you can actually break some things. Well, he PLF'd and got stuck in some mud.
Oh.
And when he did it, this like stuck and it went like this and it snapped. And I was like, yeah, it was a bad day that day. I'm Cadet Peak, I'm sorry, sir. But, I mean, I'll never forget that guy. Anyways, we do that, and then we go to Ranger school, and then we get back. And hold on, I'll pull this out of my thing. I always keep a momentum on my airsoft bag.
Now, how did your knee handle that training?
Oh, it hurt. Trust me, it wasn't the greatest days of my life, but
I'm surprised they let you go because sometimes if you have a previous injury, they won't.
I don't know if you could see that, but yeah. It's my good old, we went and deployed with second battalion or 2nd regiment out in fucking, excuse my language, out in Fort Lewis.
Okay.
And yeah, that was some fun stuff. Went to Afghanistan. That was a great time too.
Jesus. Well, you don't have to watch your language on here, bro. This is this is unfiltered.
Oh yeah. And I put that all on my bag so, I can always remind myself, doing something fun to remind, because it was fun. I did that, and then 5 minutes later we deployed, and so I get there, and we're at Fort Lewis. Everybody gets off, and we're like, cool, show up to first formation, and out of nowhere, our battalion commander comes out, and he's like, hey, who are all the guys that went to Ranger school and passed? It was me and my team and a couple other guys. Yeah, go report up at a Ranger bat up there. What? Why? Oh yeah, they're deploying and they need guys. They're actually undermanned right now.
Shit.
And we're like, you got to be shitting me! Like they're undermanned. This is like we're like thinking in our heads, being, dumb soldiers. Like, how is a Ranger battalion of all places undermanned? I guess that they were having people leaving out, so they weren't really having anybody standing for us, and they were getting orders to come down. So we're like, oh, great, cool. So we go up there, tell my wife, and she's like, so 30 days we're together, huh? And then you're gone? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. She's like, okay, I'll suck it up. I'll do my wifely duties. Cool, whatever. Does her wifely duties. Yeah. I get deployed. So this is where my second injury comes in with my lower back. I have my L4 and L5. I had 2 herniated discs there.
Yeah.
I'm in a position. Our Star Major and our battalion commander, they go into a meeting. And they're just talking with these guys. And we're like, cool, we're doing some like real spec op shit, get to actually do the real cool guy stuff, like what everybody like, the Milsimmers and all that other stuff. They're like, oh, I wish we could do this stuff. Yeah, no, I did that in real life. And trust me, some of that's fun, some of that's really crazy.
I'm sure.
So we're sitting there and I'm looking and I'm sitting there and my spotter comes up to me. He's like, yeah, man, I don't know if I'm going to stay in the military any longer. I'm like, me neither, dude. I don't want to say it either. I've been doing 20 tours. And he looks at me and goes, yeah. All of a sudden, he looks down and he goes, oh, shit, dude. Sergeant Major's getting dragged out by the colonel. Colonel's sitting there shooting in there. We're sitting there like, what the fuck's going on? What is going on? This is bad. All of a sudden, you're searing, and all of a sudden, you start seeing some, fire. You start hearing gunshots. You start hearing rifle rounds. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is going down, really. Okay, cool. All right, we're doing this again. So we're looking around, and 5 seconds later, we hear on the embedder, we hear on our radios, hey, we're getting rain coming down on you boys. Okay, we're thinking, all right, the grid square, they're here. All right, they're gonna call it right there. Our fucking new lieutenant did not know how to call a mortar strike, so we had fucking mortar strike came right on top of our building, and we just hear boom. God. Boom, boom, boom. And like the first one just comes right on. And we're like, oh my God. Because it's like maybe a building right down to the right. And we're like, are you serious? And we're like, what the fuck? So we start running. And I'm like, my spotter goes, hey, Keach. He goes, hey, danger close. Bring a vehicle around the corner. We start running. I'm like, second story. I'm like, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to be a part of a firefight. He's like, all right, then we're jumping through this window. I'm like, I don't want to jump. The fucking Humvee's right there, James.
Holy shit.
I'm like, cool, Humvee's right there. I'm not doing it. He's like, okay, yes, you are. He fucking tussed me out. Come back down. I hit my back on the back of a crow system. And I hit down on the crow system. I bent something, one of the, actuator. I don't know. It was something, one of the mechanical things in there. And the crow system was down inside the Humvee. And I'm like, my back hurts. Let's go. So we drive off. And we get there. And then, they're like, oh, man, you really got some big bruises on your back. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, I start taking a lot of pills. And that's what they just gave us. So we get back from the tour. And then I get my back x-rayed. And they're like, yeah, dude, you got some, your back's pretty jacked. I'm like, well, thank you. I know I work out, And he's like, no, jacked up, dumbass. And I'm like, oh, it's really broken. He's like, yeah, dude, you could.
We got a funny guy over here, huh?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, and that happens. And then I get it all fixed, get back out there, and then so now I know I'm talking about myself more, but the third tour comes in, and this is no shit, 2009 to 2010, 12 months. My wife puts in divorce papers at that point.
No,
rightfully
way.
So. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man.
I don't hold anything against her. I didn't hold one thing about why she did it, because she had gotten already 2 letters that your husband's injured, and
God damn, bro.
Does it, So
she is flipping out. Well, what year did you guys get married?
We got married in 2000 and I came back on leave, so 2008.
Okay, so you were 2 years into the Army. And then so she's brand new.
Oh yeah, she's
newly
a fresh
married,
wife.
Right? And you're already gone. This is your 3rd fucking time, and 2 fucking injuries.
Oh yeah,
holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, that was the bad one. And then on the final tour we went and did this, and it was kind of a funny time, but it was a worst time at the same time. We got there, and 5 minutes into, I always say 5 minutes because it's just a joke for me. We're probably 4 or 5 months deep,
right,
into my 3rd tour, and I've literally just had a blast, I guess you could say. And we're sitting there and we're minding our own business and we're doing nothing. And I got my Mitch. I had this thing sitting in my seat. I'm sitting next to my commander, and I'm like, sir, you think it's going to be an easy day? He's like, dude, we haven't even seen action in the last 5 months. We're fine. We ain't going to be doing anything. And at the time, this tour we were actually, it was our brigade and another brigade from Fort Lewis. And what we were doing is we were closing out Iraq. We were the unit that we made history. We drove from Baghdad all the way down to Al-Salim, which is down. So we were the ones that closed out what signified that Iraq was closed. We drove down saying that was it. Fine. He's like, dude, nothing's happened. All we're doing is just closing up the bases around here, and we're not mine. All right, cool. Tra-la-la-la-la-la. I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, all right, we're going into this next place. All right, cool. Striker rolls right over. Stop. Oh. My air guard hatch guy looks and goes, does his 90-90 checks. He looks on the ground and goes, yeah, we're good. Hits the ramp button. Boom! Hits a pressure plate IED.
Oh my God. Comes
back up, funnel. We're back, thrown back. I hit my head on the back of the Duke system, which I got this gnarly dent in my head. I gotta take all these memory pills. This is fun. Just to keep me sane.
Bro.
Yeah. So I get knocked out. I wake up and I'm sitting there like, what is going on? I see my commander climbing through the driver's hatch, or through the driver's little hole you can get in and out of. Climbs up, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh no. All right, so I look up and just start getting out, and we just start taking shots, and we grab a ratchet strap, a couple ratchet straps, and just dragging the door back up as best we can. This is like a 900-pound door, and we're just
Holy shit.
trying to get this thing up, and we're just like calling it. We're like, get the hell out of here. We got a broken, our vehicle's down, and all of a sudden you just have the hatch as best we had closed, and we just start driving. We just got the hell out of there. And that's where my third injury came around, and then I got told when I got back in 2010, you can still be in the military, but you can't be an infantryman right now because you're still injured. So you're going to have to get medically reclassed, which I thought medically reclassed, like, oh shit, I'm going to the military because I'm a broke, I'm broke dick, as they called us. And they're like, no, you're going to get, you're going to get, reclassed. And I'm like, cool. What does that mean? He's like, well, go see a retention NCO. And I'm like, cool. Saw a retention NCO. They open up my book and they're like, why did you join the infantry? I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? They're like, you're stupid smart. I'm like, is it because I'm Asian? Is that why? And they're like, no, nothing like that.
You're
and I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, no, you scored really fucking high. You are stupid smart. Why did you have every job in the mill? You had anything and anything you wanted. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm gonna go pick it. I personally wanted to be another. I wanted to be a Cap Scout. I wanted to be back in the combat. Wanted to be in a combat degree, excuse me, and in the combat air. I want to be a combat guy again.
Right.
Anything combat. Anyways, end of story. I digress. They're like, yeah, you can't do any combat MOSs, but you can have whatever else in the military you want. And I'm like, well, what's gonna give me? And I just thinking stupid. And I'm like, well, what's gonna pay me out? They're like,
right.
Well, IT's being really, really heavy right now. Why don't you go in IT? I'm like, cool, sure. So I went and did IT.
Oh,
then,
shit.
Yeah, I did IT for 3 years. I got stationed in Germany. Yep. So my first 5 years was literally nothing but tours and hate and a divorce. So then my last 3 years was the reign of good old President Obama. I hate that guy with a passion. I'm sorry if anybody likes that guy, but fuck that guy. Fuck that president and everything he wrote. Him, Biden, everything else about him. The only reason I hate him so much is because some people don't know about what happened in the military during his reign, because he was dwindling down our forces. Mm-hmm. So when I was in, I have seen soldiers. We had to get our tattoos, like all of our tattoos, taking pictures. If there anything gang affiliated, anything that was bad standards or no taste, they were literally writing you up and trying to kick you out of the military. If you couldn't pass weight and tape, you were getting kicked out of the military. If you couldn't pass PT test, you're getting kicked out. If you couldn't pass school, it was just
that's
something
how that's how they dwindle the forces down. They start being real strict on the stupid shit. Yeah.
Yep. So they did that, and it wasn't fun because I got caught into that.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that owed me a favor, and I got into the WTU, the Wounded Warrior Unit, which is in Germany. So I did 3 years, and then I got sent to the WTU to finish up my last year to out-process and basically get a medical retirement. I'm at 90% right now disabled.
Okay.
The disability from the U.S. Army. So I collected a nice check from the military, which is nice.
Right.
But it still doesn't make me feel good because, to be honest, right now, so I'm 35. I'm about to be 36 this year. If I hate saying this, and at 38, I would literally have done 20 years. And every time it keeps dawning at me that it's getting closer and closer to that age. And I'm like, damn, dude, 20 years. I could have been a sergeant major. I could have been something. And, but it didn't bother me. I mean, it did bother me, but it didn't bother me because,
So what did you get out as an E5, E6?
Yep. I got out as an E5.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't press for E6 because the points, and plus I had a real stupid NCO didn't want to give it to me. So
right.
Yeah. So yeah,
Jesus,
it's a
little
history about my military background. So
dude, I love meeting people like this where I don't know very much about them. Yeah. So Akimbo told me about you just like literally a few days ago. His podcast hasn't even come out yet. That'll come out Monday. And then I hit you up, and then we scheduled this. I think I hit you up early. Like we scheduled this like early, just a few days ago, like early in the week, and
Hmm.
I didn't really do a whole lot of research on your page or your channel or like your
Oh,
Instagram or nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, he said, he told me a little bit about you, that he met you and stuff, and then I think he did mention on there that you were an Army vet, and I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, I love when I meet new people and they have this rich background, and I had no clue. It's like a surprise, when you start talking with somebody. Yeah, dude, bro, you've been through some shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, good for you for having a good attitude and getting over that shit. Like, for real. Like that is, and I've had a lot of veterans on here, a lot of veterans,
Hmm.
and most of them, uh, I think, in fact, all of them that I've talked with are the same way. Like, they get over their stuff. Like they're not, woe is me, kind of feel sorry for you. I mean, we have those moments, I know, but it's it's not always, happy time and shit. But yeah, man, bro, that is wild. That is crazy. Okay, one
So
of
it's
my
even
buddies was,
I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead. He,
No, no.
yeah, I just when I was talking with him, I had known him for I don't know a couple years,
Hmm.
and I knew he was an Army vet, but we never talked about it. And then one night we actually went to a milsim together, and we were sitting around a fire, and I said, so I asked him the same kind of thing, like, oh, I know you were in the Army, what'd you do, and what kind of stuff did you do? He was medically discharged as well.
Hmm.
Um, a pickup truck ran at him, tried to run him over, him and his buddies. But it hit him, and he's like 6'5", 6'7", something like that. So the bumper hit him at his kneecaps, and
Oh.
just annihilate. And he has all that gear on and all the pack. He was infantry, and they were shooting at the pickup truck. They killed the guy, but it ran him over first. So he was fucked up, and I was like, dude, what? I never knew that. I knew him for 2 years. Didn't know this shit. I knew he had his knee was fucked up, like it would hurt when he's out there on a milsim. And I was like, bro, okay. So anyway, I was in the military 89 to 93. So it was way before GWAT. It was, there was nothing really major going on. Desert Shield, Desert Storm was very,
Hmm.
short and hardly sent any troops. And so it was, and I was in Japan at the time. So,
Oh,
I
you
was in
lucky.
Okinawa. Yeah, I loved Okinawa, man.
I heard great things about that place. I have a friend right now. He's stationed there. So I have a great, really, really close friend of mine.
Yeah.
So I've had, uh, it sounds lonely to say this, and I know it sounds really awful to say this, but like me as a veteran, I came back to Wisconsin from moving from California back here, and I had zero friends. Like
Yeah.
friends I never really connected with, thought I would be back and hang out with. No, I mean my wife has. I mean I met like a Kimbo. I met a bunch of people from airsofting and started hanging out with those guys and stuff like that. But like I didn't really have many. I know it sounds really lonely, but I didn't really have anybody to hang out with or do
Hmm.
stuff until I finally got into airsoft and stuff like that. But
So let me ask you this. So you go back when you get out of the military, you go back to what? You're divorced, right? You go back
yep.
to where you and your wife were living in Wisconsin?
No, actually not. I actually moved back. So I got out and I had a friend of mine that was a soldier of mine, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, come on to California, man. I can get you a job. I can get you this, and you can stay at my place, and then we'll hook you up. You can get your own place." And it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I got there, got a job, got hooked up, got to school, started doing some stuff, and you know, did some fun stuff. And I ended up uh I'm like a gambling addicted person, but I'm not. I swear, I don't gamble anymore. I used to play poker a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
So I paid off a condominium and I also paid off a Volkswagen GTI. Yeah,
Through
I won
through
that
poker?
much. Yeah, I won a ton of money.
Bro.
And yeah, I was one card away from actually being on the World Series of Poker. I had literally lost to a guy had two pair and I had two off the rip, and the flop shows up. He matches one of his, so but I had a pair that was higher than his. And then on the river, and I'm just sitting there praying, and I'm just bluffing, I'm praying whatever I can. And out of nowhere, it pops up, and I'm like, no, not my card. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I lose, but I mean, that was probably like the worst moment. I was like, oh man, I could have went all in. And I went all in, but he ended up, beating me on the river. So I was like, okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I had some fun times in my life. I did a lot of stupid shit.
Were you a poker player like before you went in the military, like through high school and stuff? Or
So
when did you
no.
start that?
My drill sergeant actually did. I can remember his name too, Drill Sergeant Tynes. He took me up to Atlanta and we played. Yes, I was 18, joined the military. 19 years old, playing poker. And my drill sergeant took me out there because I had to go. I had to wait like a few months before I had to go to sniper school. So He took me with him. He's like, hey man, you're living in the barracks, not doing anything, come on, we'll go do something fun this weekend. He takes me up to Atlanta, and I'm like, cool, I've never been here. It's awesome. He like walks me into the casino, and I'm like, drill sergeant, I'm 19. I'm like, I will literally. He's like, dude, don't worry, I got friends. And I'm like, okay, all right. Literally walks into the poker room, looks at the bouncer looks at us, and the guy goes, all right, yeah, come on in. Get up there, and like drill sergeant's like, I told you I got you. We get there and we're walking around. I'm like, cool. It's like, well, I've never been to Las Vegas, looking, all star-eyed and like dumbfounded. He takes me to the poker room. He's like, hey, you ever heard of sharking? I'm like, yeah, pool wise, shark, Right. And he's like, this is different. All right. If we get on the same table, if you start feeding me chips and I start feeding you chips, we got to make sure that we don't, people don't kind of catch on to what we're doing. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. Well, sure, let's try it out. So we get on the same table, and he immediately sees me starting. I'm like, I'm not. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm like, okay. And then he gets down to me and him, like not like us. Well, we get down to just me and him playing against the other 5 people. And he's like, here. And he starts feeding me chips, and then he loses. He folds, brings me back up, and then putting in. It's so horrible to tell you this kind of tricks. People was kind of tricked because like some people actually work in teams when they're playing on certain events because it helps them win, stuff. But I ended up winning like a $4,000 jackpot out of that tournament playing with him.
And this is your first time?
Mm-hmm. He ended up getting knocked out, and I ended up playing against this old lady, and I got trip sevens, and that's what I won with. So. And
oh my god, dude!
Yeah, the lady looked at me, and I was like, "Cool," because I had a 7. I had like the worst hand, 7 and 2, and on the river, or not in the river, on the turn, another 7 showed up. So on the flop there was a 7, and then on the turn there was another 7. So I had 3 of a kind. So I was like, "Oh, cool," yeah. And then whatever shows up in the last one, and I'm like, "Cool," and I got 3 of a kind. She's like, "Oh wow, Sonny, you beat me," and I'm like, "Cool." And I just, drill sergeant looks at me and he's like, I'm like, well, I've got $4,000. I go, here's $1,000. Thanks for taking me. He's like, see, this is what it means about respect. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Dude, that's the shit. Okay. Now, when I was in, we played, poker wasn't popular when I was in. It was, in the military, it was spades and hearts.
Spades is a good
one.
I love spades. Hearts I never learned, honestly.
We played, let's see, I think it was spades we played most of the time, and then hearts, one of the guys we went to, I spent a couple months in South Korea for cold weather stuff or whatever, and we coming back from that on the ship on the way back, it's a couple-day ride on a ship, or I can't remember how long it is, to be honest. It's not that far, but we were on cargo ships, but and seasick as fuck. Okay, because we're in the bottom, of course, down there, and we're on a flat bottom boat. It was called the USS Dubuque, We call it the puke, okay, because we were all fucking throwing up, and we snuck bottles of soju back from. So anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's listening or watching. So in a lot of Asian countries, you have sake, right? Like Japan, you have sake. It's a clear liquor made from. I think sake's made from rice. Yeah, sake's made from rice, and then soju is made from potatoes. And I think potatoes are more prevalent over in South Korea, and cabbage, of course. And we had kimchi over there. Shit your fucking brains out for 3 days. And so we were sneaking bottles of soju back in our sea bags coming back from there. So we're playing hearts and getting fucked up on this stuff that tastes like formaldehyde, and and then throw it up, get seasick in the bottom of this fucking boat. But anyway, yeah, poker wasn't really popular back then. It was we all played hearts and spades. This episode is sponsored by Skirmish, the future of airsoft gameplay management. Are you ready to take airsoft to the next level? Skirmish's innovative gameplay solution keeps players and spectators engaged with real-time updates. Capture objectives, detonate targets, medic, and more at skirmish-enabled fields. Skirmish tracks every action so you don't have to. Review past games, action by action, and follow your progress in national rankings. Phones are not required. If you want to find out more, head to skirmish.net and check out episode 157 of this podcast, where I talk with the owner of Skirmish about how it started and how it works. Stay connected, my friends. This episode is also sponsored by JefesAirsoftSolutions.com. Are you looking for a company that puts the community first? Look no further than Jefes Airsoft Solutions. Their founding principle is to offer a way for players of all types to get the greatest experience possible. Their passion is to make a difference in the airsoft community and serve each of their customers with the utmost respect. Be part of the conversation by joining hundreds of fellow airsofters in their Discord server. Here you can find out about upcoming events, sales, giveaways, and more. Don't wait any longer. Join today and start enjoying all that Jefes Airsoft Solutions has to offer. Together, we can make a difference in the community. Use the code TRIFECTA10 and save 10% on your next purchase at JefesAirsoftSolutions.com. Some exclusions apply.
So I gotta ask. I know. So I have you? How many people have you met like that was in your unit from, or even in your brigade or battalion from your throughout your time now being out? How many people have you
after I got out?
Yeah. Like they actually live around you.
So there's one. Now we did a reunion. So we stayed in touch after we got out. There was a group of us that stayed in touch. Okay. We were all on different MOSs, but we were all at the same duty station. Our last one, we worked on a small shooting range at Camp Pendleton. It was called Edson Range. It's where the recruits go. So the Marine Corps has, the West Coast. Marine Corps boot camp is MCRD San Diego. East Coast, where I went, is Parris Island. And then the shooting range is usually not, when you're in boot camp, is not on the, you have to travel somewhere, march somewhere, or ruck somewhere to, it's miles away usually where the shooting range is. When that's what Edson Range was. So when we were there, I think there was 7 of us that did the reunion, and this was it was more than 10 years after we got out. I got out in 93, and I think it was because we moved here in 2007. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I live in South Carolina now for 15 years.
Oh, cool. I have a friend that lives out there.
Okay. Yeah, we're in by Greenville, Simpsonville.
Okay.
It's like the upstate. And I think it's about 7 people that we stayed in touch. But one guy, when I moved down here, now this is before, when him and I were talking, we would call each other's home phones. Like when you got out back then, there was no internet. You didn't know in 93, you had to call. I'm going to tell you what we did. We called each other's parents because that was the last place we lived until the military. So you call somebody's mom. Like, hey, where's Mikey at, Oh, honey, he's over here. Let me give you his new number, And that's a home phone on the fucking wall, okay?
Yeah,
That's who we were calling.
Rodeos are.
So, but yeah, there's one guy that I was stationed with back then. That he actually just texted me tonight. No shit, just texted me tonight. We haven't hung out in probably like 2 months, but he lives like 15 minutes away here in South Carolina. He's from Maine, like Bangor,
Oh
Maine,
wow.
and we both met, at Camp Pendleton, and then went and started families. He has 3 kids. My wife and I have 5 kids. I've been married 30 years. He's on his second marriage now, but we ended up living like 10 minutes away from each other. It's fucking crazy. Came down here separately, didn't even know because, like I said, we weren't like calling each other all the time.
Right.
And so when I got down here, I think the first year I was on Facebook, I posted a picture of our kids at this like water park, and he
Yeah.
messaged me on Facebook and was like, where are you? And I said, because he knew my in-laws have lived down here for like 30 years. So that's how we found this area, was my in-laws. And wanted to get away from the cold as well, the snow. So he's like, where are you? And I told him what water park it was. He goes, dude, I live 5 minutes from there. I was like, what? Holy, and that's how we found each other down here. So anyway, but yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Like those are the guys we actually stayed in touch after we got out. I've never met anyone from any of my units just randomly without staying in touch. You know what I mean? Not one person.
That's actually the only reason I bring that up is I met
Yeah.
2 people, but they were in 2 different battalions. One was an artillery guy, and then another one was another sniper. But he was in a different battalion than I was. And
Yeah.
my wife's best friend, she brought him out to, drink, with us. We were out in the bar, anyways.
Yeah.
And I got my 2ID hat on. He's sitting there looking at me, and he's like mean mugging me, like just staring at me. And I'm like, and this guy has, he's got a hat on, but he's got it backwards. And I'm like, I can't tell what he's got. And he's just sitting there, just fucking looking at me. I'm like,
Yeah.
great. I'm gonna get into a fight with
Uh-huh.
my wife's boyfriend, my wife's best friend's boyfriend. I'm like, great. This is not one of these fucking mornings I wanted. Mornings,
Right.
excuse me, nights, whatever. So I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, cool. So he walks up to me, and he's like, what unit were you in? I tell him, and he looks at me, and he goes, what battalion? I tell him, he's like, no shit, I'm in fucking 223. I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah, dude, I don't. He's like, yeah. He's like, 2 battalions is down in the same brigade, same everything. I'm like, dude, and we start reminiscing and just about all the bullshit that we did through all.
Yeah.
He did the first tour, then he did the second tour with me, or the third tour. And we were just talking about all the fun stuff and all the stupid shit we did and all the stupid missions that were joint. And we were just going to town. And then to just about last weekend, I was driving back up from Indiana, and I'm on the phone with my dad. And I'm sitting there just chilling, and we're talking, and he's a trucker, so we're just chit-chatting.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, do you mind if I bring this guy named David in? I'm like, sure, why? He's like, yeah, he used to be in the military as well. I'm like, cool. So, he gets in there, and he's like, hey, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. I'm like, hey, man, I'm James. I'm like, hey, so I heard you were in the military. He's like, yeah, I was in the military. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, same here, and blah, 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 this. And then we started talking about just stupid PT running, just doing some random, like, PT in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I hated this because I have a, bolt and screw in my knee, and we went up to this place called Ranger Hill. And he goes, you talking about that hill that's right next to the Ranger bed, and it's basically a vert straight up? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, yeah, man, I was in the artillery unit, and I go, what? I'm like, he starts describing Ranger Hill down to the T, starts describing everything, and I'm like, well, what unit were you in? And he tells me, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I tell him, and he's like, no shit, dude, remember the fucking... And he starts talking about the tours. My dad goes, I knew you two would love each other. And now me and him are actually grabbing bevs in, like, I think it's this weekend, Saturday.
Okay.
We're going out to have bevs, and I'm inviting my buddy Bobby, so all 3 of us can sit there and chit chat. Because, like you said, you don't meet too many people from the same unit, and it just so happened to be that all 3 of us are in the same brigade, just different units. And
you live close together.
Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
He lives down in Racine, which is about 25 minutes away from me. My buddy Bobby lives out in West Allis, which is like 15 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like every time I go to the bar or something that I go where my wife's best friend is at, we go there and he'll be there and we'll just sit there and look at each other and we're like, drinking game, drinking game. And it just turns into a drink
Yes.
fest. And
Dude, one of my buddies, speaking of drinking games, I thought I had tried all the drinking games in my life, right? And then a couple of years, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, go to my buddy's house, a different guy I worked with at GameStop, actually. And him and I ran different GameStop video game stores.
oh my God, don't tell me you really were one?
Oh, yeah, I was a GameStop manager.
I was a manager
Yes.
out in California, dude.
Oh, shit.
Yes, yes, man.
Oh, dude.
I'll tell you a funny story about that one, man.
We went
you're gonna die.
I went 3 years. I was there for 3 years, and all 3 years they sent us to Vegas for the manager conference.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about because we went to.
I got shit-faced drunk out in Vegas, trying to listen to these dudes talk about new video games.
We went to what is it? What is that? Not Mexico. There was one where you got.
Oh, the one in Texas.
No, not in Texas. The one that's over in the. Yes, honey. Hi, baby. You need something? Yeah. Oh, you want a soda? What would you like? Diet Coke. Got it. 1 second, please. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, bro.
You know, if you don't get what the wife wants, then you're in the shithole. Here. And a root beer now? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for that. It's fine. I love you too. Thanks, baby.
Better talk
Bye,
nice,
babe.
motherfucker. Shit.
Oh yeah, trust me. She is. I have to say one of the. I'll tell you how I met her. People always digress with this because you meet people through like the bars or other people, all this other stuff. Well, I hit the all-time low, and I met my wife through eHarmony actually.
Oh,
and let me tell you this right now, that shit actually works.
Nice.
That actually worked. I'm not gonna. If anybody's
No,
out
it's
there,
like so this is like kind of like what Match and all this stuff. Like when you go through this whole thing where they pretty much psych test you. They ask you all these different questions. You know over and over different like really detailed kind of to fit your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your temperament, your all that shit. Okay.
all it takes everything down to everything. It's
Really?
like
As long as you're honest, right? Like you gotta. I mean,
if
it
you're
works better. Yeah.
If you're 100% honest, it works 100% of the time because
That's fucking great.
we have been married for now going on 1 year, and we were together for 4 years.
Gotcha.
So it has worked, and there hasn't been. She knows how to calm me down. So like my sister, one of my best friends named Gabe, he was also a veteran as well, but he, with my sister being married to him, she knew how to control a veteran, so she helped out my wife now how to basically when my moods are, when my stuff is, how like all that crazy stuff that's happened to me. She goes,
right.
I want to say taught, but helped teach her, how to control, a veteran, which it's hard to do in a relationship because some women get overwhelmed by the, stupidity that comes out of our mouth. I mean, when I mean stupidity,
Is that why my wife got mad all those years? Shit, I don't fucking know.
I don't trust me. I say some really stupid shit, and she looks at me. And she's just like, or like the jokes that I come out of my mouth when I'm with my buddies. Like when I'm with my buddy Bobby, and I, the stupid shit that come out of us, and we're like, $5 says I could hit that fucking guy with the dart. Hey, you want to try? Yeah, all right. Oh, how fast? What parts of, where are you going to hit him? Are you going to hit him in his hand? Or are you going to hit him in, just the stupid shit, the random crazy shit that comes out of a veteran's mouth. And people, like, they look and they're like, the fuck did you just say? But then Vet TV came out. I don't know if you heard of that.
Yes.
I love that play. I
Dude,
love that TV show.
Talk about military humor. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You
like
want to
down
see
to
some
the T, bro.
Yes. Oh, my God. I have said some crazy shit in my life, and people have looked at me weird. But the veterans that I hang out with, they're like, "Yeah, that's the shit you say," And it's fun, but yeah.
So you guys, so you were a GameStop manager in Cali.
Yes, I was.
After the military.
Yep. So I was
How'd you
when I
end
was
up there?
when I was 17 years old. I don't know if you've ever heard of a place called Hollywood Video.
Yeah, we used to have them out
So
in Ohio. Yeah.
do you remember Game Crazy?
Yes.
I used to be a assistant manager when I was
Okay.
17 there, before I
Okay.
joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously being in the military, you got two things you do. Actually, three things you do. You either sit in a room and play video games, you work out, or you get shit-faced drunk.
Yeah.
Well, I played enough video games that I knew what I was talking about. So I actually signed up as just a regular old Joe, just some sales rep. And, it was during Christmas holiday. And, my manager, Chris, comes up to me and he walks up and he's like, hey, I want to extend, to bring you on full time. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I liked your work ethics. You did a great job. Come work with us. I'm like, cool, awesome. Started working there and whatever. The year went by, I'm still just a sales rep. And then a spot opened up over by Banning when I was living in Banning, California. They opened up one, and he's like, hey, this guy needs an assistant manager. I think you'd be great for the job. I'm like, all right, cool. So sends me out there. Why the long sigh, you say, right? So I'm good friends. I meet this guy, and I'm meeting my friend Aaron, and I'm starting talking to him. We're sitting there chilling and whatever. A month goes by, 2 months go by, and out of nowhere, the district manager comes in with the regional manager into our store, and Aaron walks to the back of the room with him, and it's all these three guys, and I'm sitting there like, you're like, crap. Something happened, something big, whatever.
Yeah.
So Aaron walks out and goes, hey, you want to be a manager? I'm like, no, I like what I'm doing. I don't like the responsibility. So I just, it's like, well, too bad. I'm like, what do you mean too bad? He's like, yeah. So I don't trust anybody with this store, and I trust you because Chris has given me some good, info about you, and I see how your work ethics for the last 2 months. So yeah. I'm like, what does this mean? He's like, well, the regional manager is retiring. He's getting out. So our district manager is taking the regional position, and I'm taking the district position.
Mm.
And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, yeah, you're a manager. Here's your store. Tosses me the keys. And then, the new regional manager walks out, and he's like, yeah, we like you. I'm like, great. Great. But I'm sorry. But yes, I was a manager for about a year, about 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, were they when you were there? So did they send you guys to Vegas for the manager conference? Because I went 07, 8, and 9, or maybe it was 08, 9, and 10. Yeah, that's what it was. And we were going to Vegas. Well, then I got out. I left GameStop. I went back into factory work,
Okay.
and to make more money and. Well, that was really it, to make more money. I really I liked what I was doing, except for Christmas time, because customers at Christmas can fuck off. Okay. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. But, one of my buddies stayed on, actually the guy that trained me, and, he said, oh yeah, they stopped sending us to Vegas. We're going, this is a couple years after, or a few years after or something. It's like, yeah, they're sending us to, somewhere in Texas where the close to where the headquarters was, I guess, of GameStop. Yeah, they had to go cheaper because they put us up in the fucking Mandalay Bay, bro.
Oh, I've been there so many times. Such a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, the reason that came up was the guy that was talking about drinking games. That guy who him and I worked at GameStop. We were managers at GameStop together. He lives 10 minutes away, so he's a big drinker as well. And so a few years ago, we go over there for New Year's Eve, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna do the hour of power." I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm thinking, like, I've heard of all drinking games. Like, there's nothing new here. Come on. So you get those little plastic shot glasses, or you can use shot glass, whatever. And it's one shot of beer. All you drink is beer, no liquor. One shot of beer every 60 seconds for an hour. And the first 40, you're like, okay, this is, you start feeling it a little bit after like 20 of them or something. And because I mean, we didn't start right away. We're staying around talking, we're drinking, a little bit here and there. And we'd already done a few shots, so he starts doing this, bro. By the time you're at like 40, 45, you're like, oh my God, because in between you're talking, as you get, you start getting buzzed. Everyone's talking more because there's like six of us playing this. So somebody sets their phone down in the middle with a 60-second countdown timer. When it
Yeah.
goes, they hit it. Everyone downs it, fills it back up. He hits reset. There we go. And so we're talking in between. We're like, by the time you're on 45, shot number 45, you're like, dude, it's been 60 seconds. Did you shorten this fucking timer? We're all like, there's no fucking way. You're getting up, taking a piss. Like, this is, it was crazy. I could not believe we got so fucked up. And it was only like a few beers that you go through. Like, it's not that
Right.
many beers. But anyway, that is, so drinking games, bro, that thing is, that's a classic one to fall. It's so simple, too.
Oh yes, 100% agreed.
Yeah. It's not as fun as beer pong, though.
Beer pong is fun. I like playing bags
What's that?
or cornhole.
Oh, cornhole, yeah.
Yeah, that's one I like playing with drinking. That's always been a good one.
Oh, yeah. South Carolina, man. That's big down here.
Oh, I
They take their
know.
cornhole serious, bro. They're like flipping it, like spinning it, and like, yeah. I was never that good, but it's fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. One of the few times I've had great times with that game. Oh
So
man,
you got, so you get out of the military, uh, medically retired. You are, you move back to Wisconsin, or you move, yeah. How did you end up in Wisconsin again?
so I moved back because I was tired of California. I was
Oh, okay.
super tired of the weather. I couldn't stand that I was getting 2 seasons, and I just
Yeah,
wanted to be back home. So
gotcha.
I just packed up all my stuff. I mean, I sold my condo and I sold my car, bought a truck, and I was like, cool, I got enough money to make it back home. All right. Pop, 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 pop. Just drove on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drove on and got back home, and then yeah.
How'd you end
So
up in airsoft? Were you, did you ever play before you went in the military?
so I never I paintballed. I paintballed when I was a kid. I
Yeah,
did
same.
that, and I never honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I never really heard or understood what airsoft was.
Yeah.
And my cousin, he did it when he was a kid. So he started telling me about it. And he's like, yeah, I want to do this thing called airsoft. I'm like, what the fuck's airsoft? And, he's like, oh, this is what it is. And I started watching some videos. I'm like, cool. This is stuff I did in the military. I'm like, cool. I'm going to get to go do the same crap I did. And I get to enjoy my time. Maybe I'll meet some other military guys, meet the kind of stuff that goes around. Well, I don't want to, say anything bad, but it's like, you meet some of the milsimers and they're like, yeah, man, I just wanted to do this, and I wanted to feel like what was be in the military. I'm like, start crying now and drink a lot of liquor too. You'll be fitting in perfect. You start swearing now too. You start young, you get right there.
Right.
And
Get shit faced until 1 a.m. and get up at 4:30. Go for a 4-mile run, puke your fucking guts out while you're running, and then go back and get your ruck on and go to work. Okay.
oh my god, that was Germany. That was Germany. I have never seen a first sergeant and a commander and the battalion sergeant major and the battalion commander all be drunk on a battalion run, where they're like,
Oh yeah.
so and you're just sitting there like, are they drunk? And you're like, oh yeah, we're in Germany. They party hard, man. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
right.
And I'm just there the first time I was there on a run.
I've had
okay.
a few buddies that went to that were in the army that I graduated high school with that went to Germany. I always wanted to go there for the partying. Okinawa was like that too, man. It was pretty intense drinking.
Oh, that's what it was. So Okinawa, you were there.
Yeah.
I have a friend. He's stationed in Okinawa, and so he's a really good friend of mine. He joined the military. He actually was getting his bachelor's degree, and he started, talking about joining the military with me, and I'm like, cool, cool. I started helping him out a little bit, what he had to do, what he had to, get into the military. And then he goes and joins the military, does his stuff. So he was in the Army for about a couple years, and now he is, we call him Space Cadet because he actually is in the Space Force. And he's stationed. Yeah, exactly. Right. You barely hear anybody about that damn, special, the sixth bastard child of the military. But, you got the Space Force, and this guy is in the space. He's not in space, but he's, in the Space Force, stationed over in Okinawa in Japan. And me and my wife we're planning to actually go visit him and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because he actually got this really nice house. He just bought. He just sold his Mustang. So he sold his Mustang, and he just bought a Nissan R36, some Skyline. He bought one. Yeah, so he's all super. Yeah, he's like super stoked right now.
For sure, bro.
So he's like really ecstatic, and he's stationed there. But
I don't know if you know this. I guess I could probably look it up. But next time you talk to him, if you don't know the answer, but ask him. The Okinawa Freeway, when I was there, used to be there's no speed limit after 10 p.m. So 2200, man, it is, rice burners just zinging. And Okinawa is very small. It's like 65 miles long, I think, 25 miles wide or something. So, but the Okinawa Freeway goes, all the way up and down. But it was some of the guys, like me and my buddies, most of us did not have cars. One of our guys, McClure, bought an R7 or RX7 while we were there. And we used to do asphalt surfing while we were fucking drunk as shit up and down the freeway after 10 o'clock because, we were going, how fast can we go? And we, you swing out, you're sitting in the passenger side, and those things have really long doors, and you open the door and push out because it's hard to open the door when it's going that fast. So you push out and put your feet on the ground and you hang onto the door with the with the windows down. And that's asphalt surfing. And then you see how long you can last. But it's always a fucking shit show because the wind is pushing the door so hard. It's like your legs get caught on the bottom, in between the door, and you're trying to pull your feet back in. Your shoes are about to come off. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, that was the fun part. We were like, whoa, fucking drugs are legal over here. There's no speed limit after 2200. I guess all kind of, and prostitution's legal. Holy shit, we're in heaven,
that was Germany for me. That was, oh man, they had like the Autobahn. That was the one thing that was
right.
Fun. That scared the shit out of me. The first time I drove on the Autobahn, I literally pissed myself. I bought a brand new Audi, all my tours, everything. So my ex, she took some of the money, obviously, but my tours were, I had a quick ship bonus since I signed my whatchamacallit, my life away. Signed my contract. That was $19,000 sign-on bonus.
Nice.
And then a $20,000 quick ship bonus with signing in and leaving within a week. Damn. So I had $39,000 coming to me, and then all 3 tours.
Yeah.
So we moved to Washington, and then she immediately moved right back to Wisconsin.
Mm.
And the only reason she moved right back to Wisconsin is because I got deployed right away.
Right.
Why would she be living there?
She
with
wanted to be around
there?
Family or something.
Yeah, so she wanted to be around. Yeah, she stayed there. We went back, did all that other stuff. And she's like, yeah, I'm just living at my parents' right now and just build up we'll just put it off in the savings. And it just accumulated. So by my 3rd tour, we had all this money. And she's like, and then we got, I got divorced. And she's like, I'll take half. And we left me with a good chunk of change. Same with her. Yeah. But, I mean, I got to Germany and I was like, cool, I'm going to buy an Audi. That's what I wanted. Bought an Audi, and I took that thing out, and I got I had a A5 S-Line, all nice. Decked out. Yeah, it was beautiful. 2-seater, everything. Well, 4-seaters include the back, but
right.
But we went out. I started driving this thing. I'm like, woo, I'm doing 85 in there, and I'm thinking that's the max speed. This old lady in like this like Opel doing 95, 100, just, and I'm like, no way, dude. This lady blew by me in a rusted ass Opel, and she just,
Like,
just
this is every
trucking
day
along.
for her, bro.
I'm
This
like,
is no
what is
big
going?
deal.
Exactly. And then me and my buddy, we rented an Audi R8. We split that thing in half and drove it down to Italy and back.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that was a really fun time.
That's cool as shit. Okay.
Yeah, but okay, so they don't really have that many police patrolling, so they have speed traps. And their speed traps are, some of them when you go through the mountains and stuff down in, was it Denmark right there, right? Yeah, I think so. Huh? Germany, Denmark, I think so. Anyways, you cut through the mountains and you have, instead of the speed traps, they'll take a picture of you. But sometimes they don't face it forward; they'll face it backwards. So you'll see the people. Oh, speed trap. You'll see them slow down. But if they don't, they'll have face it the back way, so they'll just get your license plate. Well, my buddy and I were just go all the way down, get to Italy, do our shopping, go to the Vicenza, and cause that's the what base is that? Right, that's Vicenza, but it's an what do you call it? Airborne base there. I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
And go there. He comes back, and we get there, and we look at this tickets, and we're like, first sergeant walks up and goes, "Hey boys, got some tickets for you." What do you mean? We did a rental. There shouldn't be any tickets. Yeah, well, they forward the tickets back here to us. We're like, shit.
Jesus.
Damage. Oh yeah, it wasn't as bad. It was like, I think it came out to a cumulatively like €300.
Okay.
We just split it, but it wasn't as bad. But yeah,
they want their fucking money, bro.
Oh yeah, and it's really bad up there. I don't know how it is in Japan, but in Germany, you have to have like, not a joke, their insurance. You have to have like $1 million insurance.
God damn.
That's not even a joke. I wish I was lying about this, but this is like,
holy shit.
You hit a tree, you killed a tree. They charge you for the lifespan of the tree. They charge you, damage around. It's the reason behind all this is because of what we did to them in the war, and like how many bombs and stuff, and how much stuff we did to Germany.
Yeah,
like all the destruction around there. So they're still recuperating from some of this stuff. So their insurance,
the natural environment, basically, or whatever, is all.
So you have
still
to pay.
Kind of fucked up.
Oh yeah, so you have to pay it. And the town I lived in was called Kaiserslautern, and
Jesus.
This
sounds
town,
like you're about to get killed if you go in that. Bitch.
this base is actually pretty cool because Kaiserslautern, the city called Kaiserslautern, and the base I lived in was called Kleber Kaserne. Well, this base was an actual base that Hitler actually gave a speech in, and you'd see all the eagles' heads are chopped off. The Nazi symbols are all drilled out, but this base was actually tunneled between two other bases that were there. So we could actually take a tunnel, which was cool. We opened up the sealed door, we walked down, and we walked around for a while. Then we got to the next base over in 21st TSC, and we're like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's some guys rolling around downstairs in the basement." It was pretty cool to see like an old school base. But we had this one time, and this is a fun story. You'll like this one. So I'm in there, I'm typing on my computer, doing nothing. My soldiers are out there, they're doing whatever they're doing, and I get an email. And it's like, hey, we're getting a remote detonation here tomorrow, and just let everybody know, you're going to hear sirens and a bomb get exploded. I'm like, what? They had dug up in the middle of town an detonated bomb that dropped from World War II. Holy
shit.
And this is like in the middle of the town. And they were putting like some underground parking or something there. And what they did was they brought the German EOD in there, and then the next day, all you hear is a siren, and then boom, you hear the explosion. I had like 3 of my soldiers just go, what? Just jump to the ground, and I'm like,
yeah.
I told you this was gonna happen. They're like, so are we under attack? No, dumbass, get up, let's go, come on, let's go do something.
Holy shit.
He had all these soldiers that never heard or did deploy, and like,
right.
during this time, like, it was the end of the wars. Nobody was there. Iraq was already closed down. Afghanistan's still around, but you're not hearing much in Afghanistan anymore. But like that was the time. It was like people were just obviously when Obama was in, he's taking all the forces down because there's nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, part of me gets what he was doing, but then the other part was like, why didn't you give people separation stuff that was getting out? But
not only that, it was I feel like the reason. He's knocking down the military and then also kissing Iran's ass. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, we just fought all this shit and then you're going to, it was, see, I got out in 93. Let's see, Clinton, I think Clinton was elected in 92.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And we were all freaking out like, whoa, what is he going to fucking do? These crazy ass motherfuckers that hate the military and are talking about, scaling down the military, like, but I got out, and pretty much the right time because they weren't. But I think that's when that was one of the first years, that last year I was in. They were starting to offer 15-year retirement instead of 20.
Wow.
Back then. So as for people could get out, but so I mean, like, it wasn't anything crazy going on, but. Yeah, we were thinking the same thing, like, oh, man, what's going to happen now? But, yeah, nothing too crazy.
But, yeah, sorry, I sidetracked again. I usually normally do that a lot. But back, Airsoft, sorry.
Yeah, dude.
I know,
How'd
yeah.
you get into that?
So, yeah, you're that question. I'm so sorry. I reminisce so much about the military. It's always good to talk with another good veteran.
No, this is exactly, it's a casual conversation. There's no format. We jump around, like, constantly. The podcast that came out this morning, this is Friday night. The podcast came out this morning. All these podcasts that I release, I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and every week. So the one that came out this morning was another. He was an Army vet, and he was in for quite a few years, and had a bunch of shit. Went through a bunch of shit as well, and so he got out right before GWAT, and yeah, but. So he's got ADHD, so he sent me a message this afternoon and was like, "Dude, I just listened to the podcast. It was like almost 3 hours long." He goes, "I just listened to the podcast and I was all over the fucking place." He goes, "This damn ADHD," and I said, "Dude, that's how all these are. I don't have a set like, hey, let's talk about this first. This like whatever comes up. I've started these where I turn it on and I'm like, somebody comes up and I've never met him." And I'm like, what's up, man? And I'll just tell them what I just got done doing, or how my day was, or what I did, or I'll ask them. And so it just starts out way different. Like, it's not formatted. So we're just bullshitting, man. It's cool. And veterans, yeah. Whenever veterans, when we start talking, we share military stories, and that's where it goes. It's cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's
man.
That is our bread and butter because it's always.
That's what we always do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you said you were a paintballer and you didn't really know too much about airsoft.
Yeah, so I joined back in and like I started getting into airsoft because my cousin did it, and like I was like, oh, what is this? And like he goes, oh, we're gonna do milsim, and I'm like, what's milsim? He's like, military stuff, and now he's like, oh, cool, and I got into it, and we started meeting. Like we go to this place and. I started meeting like other military, not military, but other guys are like, oh yeah, I did it because it's fun. And I, that's what it, we get back and it's, like, hey, you guys start drinking and all this other stuff and, getting that. And he's like, oh, kid's like, okay. Like looking at me stupid. I'm like, you're an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But like I've talked
let
to
me
like
ask
some
you this. So was that your first airsoft experience? Was like a milsim?
So it was an indoor downstairs, like in like this like shanty mall that has an airsoft field downstairs. I mean, it's fun, but you get to meet these guys that are on there, and I shouldn't say shanty because it looks shanty because it's like you're going down into a mall basement, and you're like, what the fuck is why the hell is there a airsoft place down in this basement? Like, are we about to be like, okay, boys, locks all the doors? It's like. Fight for your way out, boy. Like, okay, good, here we go.
Would you
But
like to play a game?
that's what it was. That's the thing I was thinking. I was thinking
Fucking
of,
Saw.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I meet it, and I'm like, I start talking to some of the, Milsim people, and you're like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh, I wanted to do this stuff, and then some of them were like, yeah, I was in the military, and I'm like, oh, cool, and you're like, the people that are at the place I was going to, they're, most of them, just some of them are actually old military vets that have them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, and we start reminiscing and the good times, start having a great time, and it's always fun to talk with other people, but then you find out like more about these. I got more hooked on with the weapons. I got,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I get to play with an old M4 again. I get to play with a sniper rifle. I get to play with, all these fake guns and all this other stuff. My cousin, so I bought myself, I actually have it. I have a
Here we
Vulcan
go.
or a
Let's see it.
Airsoft. This is old.
Show
This
and
is the
tell.
first one I ever had, a Vulcan. I got
Nice.
the barrel extender for the, the screw on.
Yeah.
This is my first airsoft pistol, and I keep it as a memento myself up here because I moved all my gear downstairs, and I actually and I have my monk. I got my monk inside over there, but I put my
Oh shit. Okay.
yeah, I bought a monk right away too because I was like, okay, but my first one was that pistol and an M4 from Lancer Tactical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just AEG, just something simple, just so I
Yeah.
can play it and go run around and have a good time. But then I got this guy I met there. His name is his call sign is called Rainbow, but his first name is Noah. And he played for a team called the Jokers. And I was like, cool, And he's like, hey, I really like how you play and all this other stuff. I do competitive competitive airsoft. I'm like, what is competitive airsoft to me? I don't know what that is. I know what
Right.
Milsim is because like I just wanted to be playing military stuff and do kicking doors and have that good time again.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed that feel. But like me having my competitive side was like, what's this?
Yeah. You perked up like, wait, what? Okay.
Yeah. So he looks at me and he starts telling me about it and he hooks me into it and I'm like, cool, sure, I'll play. So, I get hooked into playing competitive airsoft. And it literally brought me back into feeling how I was playing back when I was 16 years old, playing paintball, competitively.
Right.
Not the woods ball side. I was playing with the bunkers. I was
Like
playing,
Oh, okay. Speedball or something.
exactly. I was playing speedball
Mm-hmm.
again, and it started getting me in there. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. you know, and our first big tournament comes up. You're gonna laugh at this one. So it's NSL in Indiana, Shot Zone. The first.
That was your first big tournament?
First big tournament. This is like the first day before the tournament,
Yeah.
before the Saturday. This is Friday. Going Saturday and Sunday were the tournament days. Friday comes around. They didn't give me my pants that you can slide in. They make those pants with
Yeah.
like whatever kind of like hard enough hard material that you're able to slide on turf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't ever wear joggers or sweatpants stuff because that stuff does not slide
No, it's
at
grippy.
all.
You need
Yeah.
I don't know what the material was. It nylon or it's like a polyester kind of nylon thing or something. It's like parachute pants almost.
Oh, it's way worse than that, my friend. Hold on, let me see if I can't.
So how long you been playing airsoft? Couple years? A year? Like you're new.
I'm brand spanking new.
So
I'm
this is you got into airsoft and go to a NSL tournament. Holy shit, bro.
Yeah, so I did it, and so I went there, and my first day, that Friday, I went to try to slide, right? I went to go and try to slide.
You have sweatpants.
Now, well, long story short, they don't slide. I stuck, and I mean by stuck. I went and I just stopped. I didn't move an inch. I didn't go anywhere. I just stopped. And if anybody's here on listening right now that was at the NSL back in February, you guys will all know because you guys saw my face that day. I stuck, and instead of breaking my $2,000 monk build, I was like, nope, not breaking this. Put my hand like you do in paintball, just push it off to the side.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, I'm not going to break my wrist. I'm just going to take this all. I came down and my face hits, bounces off the floor. Once goes back down and my mask flies off. And I'm like, oh God, what happened? Something great.
God.
And I look around and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And when I find this picture, I'll send it to you so you can just enjoy the funniness that I've had too. Oh, here it is, right here.
Let's see it. Or send it on Discord. I can bring it up on the screen.
Oh,
dude, I swear I think I might have saw you because I watched that that first day of tournaments.
okay.
Because I had Taco's baby goat. I had baby goat on here, Adam.
Oh yeah,
he was the one
good
that
guy.
helped, set up. Yeah. So I had him on a few weeks before, like 2 or 3 weeks before the that first tournament, and we were going over all this different stuff. So he told me about, it's gonna be streamed live and this kind of thing. So I watched a good part of that first day. That is wild, bro. Okay. So you were the first blind man in the tournament.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. You can see my face with one of Akimbo's buddies. Actually,
Did you
I
send
put it in.
Let me see.
Yep, I put it in the general chat.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Oh
see
my
where my
gosh.
eye. Yeah, I immediately bounced my face off. My whole left eye was just right there, and I was like embarrassed. Because like everybody's like, dude, you had this guy dead to rights. You actually were gonna get this guy, and I was like, yeah, well, I wish I had these pants that you were supposed to give me, but and I was like, I was blaming it on him for the pants, and I was blaming it on my own stupidity, but like, I got into it, and I just enjoyed the competitiveness. I enjoyed the aspect of having team camaraderie again and being
Right.
around. Like, it just made me feel more back with, back in the military, and that's what
Sure.
I really wanted. I wanted that camaraderie. But, later down the road, I just started feeling like it was fun to play at certain areas, but during the winter, there's not really many times you can go out and play airsoft.
Mm.
And I had just gotten married in October 14th of last year.
Okay.
And so my cousin gets me an airsoft, and I get in there, and I'm just like, I've got my savings, and then I've got a fun money account, which my wife is like, hey, put money off to the side for your fun money account. I'm like, cool, whatever. So I started buying, airsoft gear because I was on the competitive team. And,
Right.
well, like I said, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but it was hard to play around with these guys because nobody was around us. It was just my cousin and another friend of ours, and then Noah, and then it was just basically four of us. And then we had two kids, these two little 16-year-old kids, which they're amazing guys.
Right.
They're more mature than anything, but they're all the way up in Green Bay, coming down with their parents every Sunday.
Is that a far drive?
Yeah, it's a pretty far drive for them
Okay.
to come down. And, and none of the guys that we were playing with on this team, they never came up. They came up one time out of the time.
Yeah.
And this was before the tournament, but this is like weeks before the tournament, before I had even met these guys.
Okay.
And we never played or practiced after that or did anything else. And it was just like, where's this camaraderie? I'm only hanging out with these guys all the time. I'd like to play with other people. So if like we're playing on a team, I want to be more, if you're in a unit and you start doing your drills and everything, you want to be proficient with everyone in your team because,
Absolutely.
you want to, and that's what my mindset got into. And that's why I left the team, because I was only constantly playing with just four of the other guys. The two youngsters from up north would come down, but they have school and they're young and they can't come all the time. So it just came down to four of us. And my life started kicking into gear more. I had school. I was going back to, work and all this other stuff. But I was like, hey, I'm done. I can't do airsoft with you guys anymore. I just, I kind of lost the love of it. And we did an one tournament, and then we went and started doing the 1v1s, which is nice because that was like my competitiveness. I could do that.
Yeah.
But I actually ended up talking with one of the other guys and a couple other of them, because they were also having the same issues I was. They want to play with more people. They want to be, part of a cohesion and a teamwork.
Yeah.
And that's where they're like, hey, we're leaving the team. They also left the team. They all left the team for their own personal reasons mostly, but then a month or two goes by or a couple weeks goes by and they're like, man, I really get that itch to go play, airsoft, which is nice.
Yeah, I
And
think that's a common issue, man. I've heard when I'm talking with a lot of people on teams, especially, well, even on both ends, milsim teams and speedsoft teams, but I think mostly speedsoft teams, because they have tournaments, right? Like
right,
milsim, they don't really, like, you can have a team and you can play together. It's fun. Makes it more fun than just, being a one or two guys in this group of 300 people on your green team, but
right.
it's but the speedsoft, it's like, there's more tournaments set up. There's you know there's more access to it, I think. And I feel like it's really difficult for people to get a team together that, like, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome. So you got the location, right? Like, people showing up. How many people can we have to, practice together on a weekly basis? And not just the distance, but you got to pay for even if you have your own stuff, you got to pay for the playtime at the field every week or whatever. And you've got to have, the commitment level is going to be different for each person. So if you're on a team and you don't have a very big pool to pull from, like, only people that are in that location that go to that field, that, hey, you want to be part of the team, we see how you play over here, this kind of thing. And then and they get going, and it's like, maybe they're not as, that personality type that is very competitive, so they're like, oh, this is just fun, it's whatever, but everybody else is like, hey, we want to fucking win because that's how we have fun. I think if I was playing like that, I would be one of those guys like, hey, we're either doing this all the way or not, because I can't have fun unless I'm being part of that team that is, we all feel the same way, like the same commitment level, and we want to win. It doesn't mean you got to be a hothead. That means, pay attention. You get those people that just click, like, they're very aware of their surroundings. You don't have to teach them every little move and every little step, they have the street smarts. And then there's guys that don't, and it's like, it doesn't go, like, bro, it doesn't mix. Okay. If you want to win,
like,
like, no. Okay, look, all right, when we go over here, you got to go this way. And so they'll do exactly what you said, but if there's one little thing different, they don't know how to adjust. Like, bro, I can't teach you every little, it's, I think that there's a huge, and I think this is why when I find these teams, these Speedsoft teams that are good and that play together regularly, it's really rare. Like, it's pretty rare, man, because of what they had to go through to get this team together. People had to sacrifice a lot, like distance, driving there, paying for the stuff, whatever, and then the commitment level on being on this team. And then you got to have a good leader. And if you don't have a good leader, it's shit.
that's kind of the issue as well.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to you that.
It's really common, though.
It is, but oh man, there's some things that was wrong with it, and
Sure.
It wasn't like the team that I was playing for. So, the other fun fact about me is that I'm in the process right now of actually starting my own airsoft company as well.
Oh.
I'm actually I'm going to be using my VA business loan to actually build a field, to get a building and do all the other stuff.
Nice.
I've actually got approved for the loan. I've got all that stuff. The only thing I have to end up doing is actually getting a building. And
okay.
I have a building in mind. I have something I do want to get it. I do want to do with it, but I've hit some really big snags. There's Noah, there's the guy that brought me on. You know, I talked to him, but I don't let everyone know about my personal things that I deal with.
Sure.
And people that actually own airsoft buildings and stuff like that, there's certain things that you have to go through before you even jump into the building. You can't just go into the building and be like, oh, cool, I'm going to open up an airsoft company. Here's me, blah, 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 blah. No, you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have to go through a lot of steps and process, and you can actually hit a lot of hiccups in the same process
Sure.
that I have just hit. I have hit a brick wall right now, and it's not a good brick wall because the brick wall I hit was the fact that I don't tell much of anybody about like any of the guys. I let them know what they want to hear. I put the smile on my face. I show them the happy side of me. I don't try to show them that I'm always down or depressed about certain things.
Sure.
I don't try to let them know about things. You know, my wife is the only one that knows about the things I do.
Right.
You know,
Same here. Mm-hmm.
You know, the things. But in this, you know, I have a mentor that told me that the things I have to go through, you know, and I went to like, I had been doing this for a while now, and I had been going to town hall meetings to where I want to build my building because I have to get a stepping vote to be like, hey, I want to build this building here, not building here, but I want to put a place here for this because I want to get the people around me involved because I don't want to build and then be automatically shut out by anybody in the city.
I was just going to add, because I've had a handful of guys on here that are field owners and started from scratch and started from an existing building and then built their own, and you know, all different kinds, and they all have very similar obstacles. And some of the common theme I've heard is what you just did. That's very smart. Go to your town hall meetings, get close, or you know, get to know your councilmen, all these people, council people that are in, you know, that are going to be making the decision on the zoning laws and all this stuff that happens. And the other guy, one of the guys, there is a police department very close to his building, and him and his brother run the field, and he actually just opened up his third one, but he was going to let the police department train there, but charge them. And his brother said, no, let them train here whenever they want for free, and you'll never have an issue. And this has been maybe a year and a half, 2 years, I guess now. And anytime any townspeople call about these guys pulling up into the parking lot, coming out dressed like whatever, you know, with masks on, you know, sitting up on their head and, you know, carrying guns out without being in a bag and shit, they call. The police are like, no, it's fine. It's just a training facility for airsoft. It's, you know, whatever. And, you know, we use it. We know the guys. It's good. It's very smart what you're doing. Talking to the town, going to those town hall meetings and stuff. Yeah.
So I hit a huge wall. And what I mean by hit the wall was so I haven't even told the people that I'm close to about this. So it's like, I was actually happy because I'm actually happy that I'm relieving this information for people that want to actually do what I'm doing. Okay. But like, I hit a brick wall with my lawyer and me at this meeting. I was 5 or 4 votes away from actually getting like, hey, we approve of this. We approve that you can go build, you know, you can have your building, you can have and do what you need to do. You know, I have to go through the state laws of Wisconsin, which is like you have to be 1,000 meters or 1,000 yards, something like 1,000 something away from school buildings and everything. And I had the building. I had an old abandoned Walmart building, you know, that had 40,000 and like 200 something square feet. You know, I could hold a milsim side on one side, and I could put this competitiveness of the speedball side inside that same building and have it indoors year round. Right. You know, and I'm taking advantage of milsim, and I'm taking advantage of the competitiveness that the milsimmers want to go from one side and take, oh, hey, what's this all about? Hey, come on, go on the field, man. Go on these and just go have fun, you know. Let these guys get a chance to see and feel what it feels like to be on a different side of like the competitiveness side, like than rather what the milsim side is. So people can get into 2 different types of sport. Well, I had these two women. They stood up and they're like, we did our research. And I'm like, okay. well, what happens if you close down this arena, this airsoft field that's over here in Milwaukee? What happens to the rest of the airsoft? Well, they come to mine or they go down to, Bristol, down to Bristol. They go on to Black Ops. Well, that's fine and dandy, but we've done our reports and everything, and we found out that there's been a lot of problems over at the airsoft field in Milwaukee. You got a lot of hoodlums, you got a lot of this and that, and all this other stuff. You have all these, these degenerates and all this other stuff. I don't want that in my town now. You made it look good for the last few months, but you're not making it look good now because I just did. We did all this research, and we don't want you to come into. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, no disrespect, but I'm fucking Asian. Do you think, and I'm a veteran, do you think I'm going to let this shit happen at my field and my business? That this is my bread and butter for me and my wife and our soon-to-be kid? Like, you're going to be, like, you think I'm going to let that shit happen? And she's like, no, I'm not trying to be racist, but I don't want that in my town. I don't want that near here. I don't think, and like, my lawyer looks at me and he just like snags my shirt and he's like, just sit down, shut up, because you just lost.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what do you mean I just lost? And this was like, I want to say about 3 weeks ago or so, just right before Easter.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff. I had just gotten to school. I had just gotten done. I'm like, hey, we got to go to this town hall meeting. My lawyer hit me up. And he's like, you got a town hall meeting. This could be the day we go in. I'm like, cool. And I get there, and that's when that shit just hits me. And that brick wall I just like hit my face, just stop.
Oh my God.
And they're like, the councilman and everyone up there is like, all right, let's put it to a vote. Do we let this come in? Hey.
Hey, I'm sorry, dude. I got a unexpected visitor. What's up, dude? Dude, come here. This is the guy I was talking about, actually, that him and I were in the Corps together.
Oh, no way.
We live like 10 minutes away. Yeah.
Hi, sir. How you doing?
He can't hear you, but he said, hey, what's up? He was in the Army. What's up, dude? Get out of here, you fucker. Hey, I'll be out in a second. Yeah, of course. I switched the chords. Get out of here. Ooh. Fucker. Oh yeah,
but,
man.
Yeah, I hit a brick wall, and my lawyer pulled me down, and he said, hey, stop. Don't argue. You're going to make yourself look bad if you start arguing with these people.
Right.
Because this is their town, and if you fuck up or say anything else worse, they can go and do a 180 on you and turn your progress that you've been working.
Yeah.
And
they'll be a pain in your ass forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you just do exactly. So
would you, I didn't know my buddy was coming over here. Would you be cool with continuing this?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to talk more. Yeah.
I don't want to leave him hanging out here. Like I said, we haven't hung out in like 5 months. I didn't know he was coming over here. He was texting. He was the one I was telling you about. He was texting me literally like 20 minutes before we got on this call, saying he always does this. He'll be out drinking with one of our other buddies, and he sends me a picture of a beer. He's like, "Come out and drink with us, bitch." And I'm like, "No, I'm getting on a podcast." He's like, "What is that?" He don't listen to podcasts. so anyway, he's like, "You're gay. Come out here and drink." And but anyway, so this has never happened before. So I do apologize, man. But I appreciate. Yeah, we'll just. So I'll hang on to this one. I'll cut the end off here, and then we'll pick up. If you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to. I have. Okay. I mean, I've got a story for everybody to love because I saved one of the military.
I want to hear more about the plans of your stuff because Akimbo actually brought it up to me when he was talking about it. But I didn't want to bring it up until you did because I didn't know if you wanted people to know. So
no, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm one of the few people in Wisconsin that's going to be doing this, and like I said, I'm using my resources from my VA, from my benefits to give it to the people. What the people gave to me, I want to do the same for the people. So that's my aspect.
I'm blown away with your story and your background and what kind of person you are. I'm honored that you're on here. So I look forward to our next one. We'll just let me text you like tomorrow, and we'll figure out a good time for each of us, and we'll jump back on here for however long, and I'll just piece them together.
Sure, Roger that. That's amazing. I can't
Awesome,
wait.
man. Thank you so much, dude. It was great meeting you.
You too. You
All
too,
right,
brother.
James. You have a good night.
You too, sir. Have a good night.